chapter 5 of Ant's home renovation series. Oh my god, we're up to chapter 5 already, I can't believe it.
If you don't let me gut out this house and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me!
Didn't think it was gonna go on this long. And weirdly enough, I'm feeling
Sexy!
kind of positive today, and I don't know why, because a lot of things, I say a lot of things, just like a main thing has gone wrong since you saw us last time. And it's kind of thrown us off a little bit, because my skirting boards and windowsills finally arrived, and I was like, champion, I can crack on, get them installed, this is gonna be so easy. It's not rocket science to attach a skirting board to a wall. It sounds like the easiest thing on planet Earth, doesn't it? Wasn't easy at all. In fact, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
I hate my life.
But anyway, I lured these very cumbersome, ginormous skirting boards into the living room. I did my very best to measure and cut them to the correct size. And then I bought this special little tool that's supposed to measure around like weird shapes and angles and stuff. And I was like, oh, that'll be fantastic for this little area in the corner where the skirting boards need to kind of go around the pipes and stuff. So I did that, measured the weird shape, drew it down, etc. Cut the skirting board according to the shape that it told us to, and then it completely and utterly failed. Didn't work at all. Didn't do what it said it did at all, unless I've used it wrong. And also, because I wanted to do this properly, I wanted to do it the correct way and stuff, I have actually researched how to attach skirting boards to a wall. I've watched videos and all sorts. Online they recommended to use these special double-sided nails, and they basically go into one side of the wall and then protrude on the outside, and you just tap the skirting board on. So I popped a few of these nails into the wall, I then added some adhesive to the skirting boards, and then I attempted to fix the skirting boards to the wall, which then resulted in the nails disappearing into the wall and not working one bit. So I ended up having to pull all the existing nails out of the wall because that was an absolute mess. And then obviously the adhesive was drying at this point, so everything was going wrong.
I feel fine.
And I just kind of had to readdress the situation and figure things out. So plan B was to screw the skirting boards to the wall, which, spoiler alert, also didn't work. So plan C was to go to the hardware store for the like millionth time during this home renovation series, spend even more money on other supplies, and try and get these stupid skirting boards to attach to the wall. I'm running out of battery on my camera, but I finally got that skirting board on, and I've actually countersunk the holes, so all I need to do is add a bit of filler and that should be on. But what an utter arse on that was completely my fault. You know what? It was me trying to do things the easy and quick way, and the easy and quick way, it just never works. I should have just done it the proper way. And anything that does look a bit shit and there's like a few gaps and stuff, that's what filler's for. So it's okay, it's fine. But my god, what an arse on. I did that to myself. I'm furious. I'm so angry with myself. And I think I recorded a clip where I basically blamed myself for cutting corners and stuff. I don't think it was that. I think what had happened with these skirting boards is they are so ginormous, so thick, and so just big. They're just really, really difficult to get on walls that aren't perfectly straight. And it's just not what I had in my head. It just wasn't what I was expecting at all. And I basically spent the rest of the day fighting with these skirting boards, trying to get them onto the walls in the living room. And I don't think I recorded the majority of it. And I'm also not going to show you the state of the skirting boards in the living room, because it got towards the end where everything wasn't working properly. I was losing the will to live. I couldn't drill through the wall because I was hitting brick and I couldn't get through the brick, so the screws weren't working. Just everything was a mess. This was a day where I honestly wanted to give up. I wanted to cry and give up. That's how bad it had gotten. It really, really hit us on an emotional level for some reason. I don't know why. Skirting boards nearly ended this entire series, and I was ready to just leave this house behind. I only recorded little bits of it, but honestly, it was just a day of full emotional breakdown. That's all I can describe it as. I was really on the verge of tears, and it takes a lot for me to cry over something like that. It was really close to beating us.
I've got nothing left.
And what I ended up doing in the end to get these skirting boards on the wall is I just attach them with expandable foam, and I've checked them today. Again, I'm not going to show anyone my skirting boards because they're a mess, and they're actually on the wall, and they're on the wall very securely, and I'm just going to have to rely massively on filler and caulk. I think I will get them looking okay, but it's taken a job that should have been easy and should have not taken very long. It's taken absolutely yonks, which is again this It sums up this entire series, doesn't it, really?
Yes.
And anyway, on that same day, it was night time at this point, I also removed the old windowsill in the living room. I cut and measured a new windowsill all by myself and attached that to the threshold using some expandable foam, which I think is the correct way to do it, but I could be wrong. And again, you won't be able to see in the video the fact that I've actually measured it entirely wrong, and there's a giant gap at the back of the windowsill that I've just filled with expandable foam, and I'm going to cut it down later and put some filler over the top, because I got my measurements completely wrong. I hold my hands up to that one. That was my fault. I made a mistake. I made an oopsie. But now we're on to today. And today's job is to remove these worktops. These worktops in the kitchen are coming off now. The sink, there's been a plumber come along, and he was actually a nice plumber for once. I was very pleased. The whole sink, tap and the waste is fully disconnected, so I can uninstall the sink now and get rid of that. And the plan is to install some brand new worktops. I'm going to cut them and everything, and just hope, I swear, I really hope this goes okay, because I don't want another bad day. I just don't want another bad day. I feel like if today goes well, it's going to feel like I'm actually making progress in this house, and I really need that, because it's depressing us a little bit. The things I'm getting there. It's just really like hard angles, basically. Also, during this entire thing, I don't think I've sworn so much in my entire life. I'll have cut a lot of stuff out during this video series, but I have sworn so much.
That she is a fat cunt.
I don't like to swear on the channel, and it's very rare I'll use the unedited F word, but it has been literally my favourite word during this entire house renovation. I must have said it about a million times. Also, there's like either a cobweb under here or like white mouldy bits. I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't look great. I think everyone should really, at home, just check under your sink. Just make sure it's all like clean and tidy, because obviously it doesn't get checked on a lot, does it? Yay! That dirty water I just cleaned. Yes! Sink removed. Okay, there's one job done. Now I need to remove the worktops. I also want to pay attention to how they've installed the worktops, because I've never installed worktops before in my life, and I'm going to have to do it, so I need to know how to do it. I've only undone about 4 screws or something, and this has come off. I don't know, they felt like they were attached a lot stronger, but they weren't. They only had literally a few screws. Is that all you need to install a workbench? A couple of screws? I've bought loads of shit. I've bought like glue and all sorts of stuff. Alright, well, seems easy. It seems straightforward. I know how to attach the workbench to the cabinets. It's just like a little brackety thing. That's fine. There we go. Although saying that, my worktops are a little bit thicker, I think, and they're slightly wider, and I think they're also a lot denser because they're made of hard wood. These are just like a little bit of MDF with like a, I don't know, a stickery thing on, like a marble effect thing. Alright, well, one down. Let's see if the other one's just gonna pop off now. I hope so. Fingers crossed. It's still bloody heavy, mind. Oh my god. It's so mouldy down here too. It obviously hadn't been sealed particularly well. Like where that metal bracket had been. Like all down there. Obviously water's been leaking down. It's gone a bit mouldy and gross. Oh, and there's some wires there too. Oh, also there's wires that are attached to this. This is the thing as well, right? I'll show you down here if I can. I've got these wires that run along the top, right? And I don't know whether these are old wires or whether they're new wires. And I've tried to test them and they're not reading as if they're live wires and they've got anything going through. But I have absolutely no idea. I don't think they can be, because when the property got rewired, they would have had to have gone through there. And obviously you can see down here, that's where there's new wires. So they've gone under the cabinets and stuff. They couldn't have gone literally behind the kitchen cabinets, could they? Because it doesn't go further along there, and they would have had to rip the entire kitchen out to get that wire where it is. So I have a feeling that's an old wire, but I just don't know where it goes. What does it even, or what did it even power? I have absolutely no idea. I also don't know what this wire is. This little one attached to this, I have no idea what that is, but I think that's an old wire. What I'll do is I'll pop all this wire off first before I rip this out, just in case I end up causing a fire or an explosion or something. Oh, shit. shite. No! I've just broke one of the baseboards by standing on it. Ah, no! Well, that's just another job I need to do, isn't it? Well done, Ant. You idiot. Why does this not want to come off for? Haha! Getting there. There we go. That's the problem I was having. Oh, I can see where them wires are now. I can see if them wires actually are live or not. Oh, I've done so much damage, honestly, it feels like I've gone back to square one, and that scares us a little bit, but it's fine, everything's fine, don't panic. It has to look worse before it looks better. Right, what is this wire then? It goes up here. Up where? There's nothing up there. And you go round here, round there. Oh, I think you have a live wire actually. I think it powered the previous. Yeah, look. It's a dead wire, man. I knew it was. The thing is though, right, I'm just like a bit irritated. So obviously that's an old wire. Why didn't the rewire people remove that wire? Why did they just leave it for? I find like a lot of tradespeople and stuff, they're just so bloody lazy, like just so incredibly lazy. If they were rewiring their property, would they leave just like old shitty wires on shore and in place and stuff like that? No, you wouldn't. So like, if you're gonna do a job, can you do it properly, please? Proper irritates us. Me as a novice and me as someone who has absolutely no expertise in building and plumbing and electrics and stuff shouldn't be able to find these problems and shouldn't be able to look at things and be like, oh, that hasn't been done right, has it? It's irritating. It really, really irritates us. It's just lazy. I hate lazy people. I know I can have my lazy days, but I would never be lazy when it comes to like doing something for someone else, you know what I mean? Old wire gone. So I'm assuming that must be an old wire too. I'm going to ask the plumber about that one because I don't know whether it's like a plumbing wire or not. I have no idea. Worktops off, guys. The kitchen is looking like an absolute disaster. I can't believe I put my foot through that board either. I'm furious. I'm just thinking, you know, it would probably be easier. Well, it would be easier. I know it would be easier. Just to buy some new like carcass things. And it's all well and good saying it'll be easier, but I don't have the budget for easier. I don't have any money left, so I can't afford new carcasses, even if they're only a few hundred quid and stuff. Absolutely not. And I would have to measure them all and make sure they fit. No, I'll just keep these ones how they are. They're fine. I'll just fix them up a little bit. Alright, well, I'm gonna have some food. I deserve it after that. So I've been fed and watered, and I've dragged my massive worktops into here, ready to be cut. I've just realised you can probably see the skirt, and just literally ignore that, please. And honestly, dragging the worktops from where I had them stored into here, onto here, I think that's been literally the hardest step so far. These weigh an absolute ton. I don't understand why I've decided on certain things. I was like, oh yeah, I have to have solid wood worktops. Why? Why couldn't I have just gone for like a cheap MDF and then, I don't know, I feel like I don't know what I've done. I've just made things a million times harder for us, basically. But anyway, down here, I've got the original worktops, so I can measure the length of them. These are slightly wider, so I'll have to keep that in mind. So that's what I want to do first. How long is this going to be? 210 centimeters, but I feel like I want to make it just slightly shorter, just so I can actually get it in the space that it's in, because the original worktops, they went like into the wall. These worktops are thicker than these worktops, and I'm not attacking walls or anything like that. So if they just rest up against the wall and then I put the edging on, I think it'll be okay. I have a feeling, in fact I don't have a feeling, I know for a fact, these are going to be so hard to cut through with my little shitty jigsaw, but that's all I've got. My other saw, it's just a tabletop one and it won't detach, and I also wouldn't want it to detach because it scares us using it. I don't have like a fancy and I also don't want to buy one because it's more money. I'll see how I get on with this little jigsaw. This is going to take a while, it's going to take a long time, but I think it's going to cut through. I'm too stressed. I hate doing shit like this. I hope everyone realizes this is not my forte at all. One thing I find on social media, and obviously because I've been doing this home renovation, I've been getting recommended a lot of like home renovation content. There are a lot of people who are doing home renovations who make things look really easy, and I hate those people. They just say, oh, and I just can't stand it. I really genuinely can't stand it because that's not the reality at all. They cut out all the difficult hard parts and they only show the very nice bits, and it's not fair. It doesn't paint a correct picture of what a home renovation's like. It's hard, especially when you don't have the money to hire a load of professional people to do it for you. On some jobs, mind, I think it would have been more cost effective literally just to hire someone to do it. You know what, I don't know how I feel about it, but once this is all done and I can say I've done this bit and this bit and this bit, again, I'm going to be mega proud of myself. I'm regretting it at the moment and I'm feeling a bit like knackered and sorry for myself, but it will be worth it. So I've managed to cut one little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make all my other cuts off camera because this is going to take us hours. And then I might film for the sink part because I need to cut that out as well. I need to cut a hole out for the sink. We will get there. I'll get there in the end. And this is the bit where I need to figure out where the sink's going to go. Fortunately, it's given me a lovely template that I just draw around. And obviously I've made some measurements inwards from where I want the sink to be. And I'm trying to think about where the original sink was. However, I have to remember that these worktops are wider. And also the sink, I think it's slimmer but longer, but not by a lot. There's just a few variations. And I think you want your sink to be quite back a bit, because remember this is longer, so I want to give myself a bit more kind of room here. After cutout, the cutout line should still be visible. Right, so I should have the shape of a sinkhole, basically. Yes, perfect. And then when I'm cutting this hole out, I just need to remember that this line, I need to still be able to see it. So you just want to go a little bit below the line. Well, this is going to be a bit of an arse on the cutout. In fact, the entire thing's a bit of an arse on the cutout. I've started with the hard part. This is the hard one. Out of both of the countertops I need to cut. And also, I haven't taken the countertop back to the kitchen to see if it fits. Mainly because these weigh an absolute ton and they're really, really difficult to carry. So I'm just hoping and I'm praying that all my cuts are right and all my measurements are right first time.
No matter what is going on in your life, you can always count on the Lord or somebody.
As well, I'm going to keep the wood and the offcuts and stuff, and I might make some like shelves or something with them, because it's nice wood. I could definitely make like a chopping board or something with them. It's a top tip, don't waste your materials, all your offcuts and stuff, you can do something with them. By the way, I snapped a saw blade doing this and I've took a massive chunk out of the countertop, but this is so hard to cut through. However, now is the moment of truth to see whether I've actually cut this right and whether the sink's going to fit. I still can see the line. I don't know whether I've been too generous with still being able to see the line. I don't know. I feel like a little bit more might need trimming off, but I'd rather need to trim more off than have trimmed too much off. I'm so pleased with myself, look what I've done today. It's just not like mega flush with the counter here, and I don't know why. But then does it get like screwed in and it like tightens it to the worktop? Because I don't want to trim any more off just in case. Now I need to see if this actually fits in the slot that I've got in the kitchen on top of the unit, and I just hope it does. I swear down, I hope it does. Literally taken me all day to do this, you know. Oh my god, why is everything so heavy for? I'm going to be a proper tank after this home renovation. Oh, it's tight. I can't figure it out. Well, I feel like it does fit, but I feel like I've made it really like to the wire fit, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give myself a little bit of leeway. Things are so hard when you're doing them on your own. I'm also very cautious that there are wires and there's still pipes down here. So if I accidentally smash one of them, no, please don't. I'm taking all the paintwork off. I can only apologise to anyone who buys this property off us, even though obviously I've made the place look lovely and stuff. You're going to have a really hard time removing that if you ever want to get rid of it. It's still not even in yet. I'm wondering whether to chop a bit of the door frame off. My upstand will just say cover that gap. That's fine then. So that's on. And also, right, I was worried about like how I was going to fit that and how I was going to make it secure. I don't honestly think I even need to add any screws. I think the sheer gravity, some sort of like physics, is gonna just keep that in place. I don't think I even need to do anything. I suppose I will, just to make sure, but oh, what a good job. What a good job I've done.
Can't stop me now.
And it actually looks nice. Look at that. That looks. Look. Come and look at my worktops. You feel them. Make love to them. How this makes up for the skirting board disaster. It really does. Because I'm not sure whether the bowl is deeper than the previous bowl I've had. So I might have to do a little bit more sewing. That might be a bit of an issue. This thing's a little bit on the wide side. I feel really sorry for my neighbours, and I think by the time I've finished doing this, I should really pop round with like a bottle of wine and like a Terry's chocolate orange to say sorry. I think I'm going to be done for kitchen stuff today because I don't want to be one of those people, I refuse to be one of those people who are like drilling and hammering really late at night because that's not fair. So it's a brand new day in the house, and I've already been busy this morning. So I've been finessing the sinkhole a little bit, just so that the sink would fit in a little bit better. It was a little bit uneven, and I think when it comes to plumbing the sink in, I think the plumber will be a bit pissed off if it doesn't actually fit. I've also been to the tip this morning, obviously, and I managed to cut the second section of the worktops for the kitchen. And this morning as well, on the way to the house, I stopped at the hardware store and bought a pack of saw blades that are specifically designed for hardwood, and you would think that that would make things a lot easier because these are hardwood counters. Didn't make a difference. Really struggled to cut through it still. Also, by the way, this home renovation is really taking its toll on how I look. My skin's an absolute mess. Everything's a mess. And also, by the way, I know I look like shit in this entire series. Like, I refuse to do my hair, wear a nice outfit, etc. There is literally no point because I'll get filthy, everything will get messy. I just know. And also, I don't trust people who do these home renovation series and stuff and they're like full glam, got nice outfits on. Really? Suspicious. But anyway, if we look behind us, oh my god, Ant's put the second counter on. By the way, I'm not sure whether a lot of people realise just how heavy these counters are. They weigh an absolute ton, and I'm actually seriously surprised I've physically been able to do this. It has been a feat. Normally I'll struggle through things and I'll just do it and it'll be fine and it'll be a bit difficult and stuff, but I'll manage. This was really hard. I was close to giving up because I didn't think I could physically do it. Not mentally do it or anything like that or have the skills. I just physically couldn't lift these pieces of wood. But anyway, all the worktops are on. I need to screw them and obviously fasten them and everything, which is what I'm going to do today. And also eventually, because the workbenches beforehand, I don't know whether we can see, let's have a look. The original workbenches went here and they left like a weird gap, and I thought it'd be quite nice to run the worktops all the way along the edge, and then I'm just going to kind of cut a nice curve just so it flows a little bit better, and then that would be a nice space for like a little bin or something, wouldn't it? I'm telling you, I should be a kitchen designer. Seriously, I should. I should design everyone's kitchen. I'm very skilled. So the worktops have finally been secured. At the end of the day, the previous worktops, they weren't really secured by much. I've secured it here. I've also added some brackets here, and I've added some brackets below this bit. And I think they're your main kind of points, aren't they? I think it'll be alright. Just no one sit on my counters, okay? Because you might, you know, break them. Anyway, I'm up to this little bit, and this is going to be my bespoke curved element, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Actually, I don't think I want that much of a curve. I probably want about here. And yes, I know I'm just eyeballing this, but you know, into about there. Oh my god, I've just broke the saw. I've literally just pulled that out and I've snapped the saw blade. That's the second one I've snapped. Welcome to Ant's Custom Corner. I'm open for commissions, by the way, if anyone fancies, you know, getting a custom kitchen built by Ant.
Oh, no.
It will take literal days and it might look a little bit shitty, but you know, I'm expensive. Nah, just stand this down, man. Fine, easy peasy. That's pretty much done. It is a little bit like wobbly, I'm not gonna lie. Rustic, it looks rustic, it's custom, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. What's the time actually? I was getting on late and I need to do the upstands. 5 o'clock. Are my neighbours in? I'm just gonna check. Yes, my neighbours are in. And it's like 5 o'clock, and the thing is, at 5 o'clock you just wanna get yourself settled, watch some telly, you know, have a bite to eat, have some lunch, catch up with your family and stuff. So I don't think it's fair for me to be like, meh, meh. It's obviously a brand new day in the house, and I've been busy this morning, you know, I've got to get work done. So with these upstands, I very carefully measured what size each piece needs to be. I then took the upstand to the very scary saw and cut it into a smaller piece, and then basically just glued it into place. And by the way, I'm using this stuff called grip fill, which I'm not sponsored by at all, but this is a fantastic material. It's really strong, it really like glues shit together. So if you want something that's like pretty decent, grab yourself a tube of that. And also it was dead cheap. I think it was about like £3 a tube. Proper decent stuff. And that's basically what my morning's been. I haven't filmed all of it because I'm running out of space for my memory cards. But does everyone want to have a look at my gorgeous upstands? Everyone does, of course you do. Ta-da! Look what Ant did! He finished his kitchen off. There's upstands and it looks really good. Oh my god. Now the thing is, you might look at this and be like, oh my god, Ant, you are just like a professional kitchen fitter, you've done such a good job. There are a lot of mistakes, I'm not gonna lie. You know what, I was thinking about this as I was coming along to the house this morning, and about the mistakes I've made and stuff. And I think a lot of people online, because there'll be a lot of angry people that have made mistakes and stuff, but I think a lot of content creators online, they like to lie or put like a happy, positive spin on things, and they don't really say it how it is, and they kind of hide things, and I've never once been for that. It just doesn't sit right with us. I think it's made people immune to mistakes, and I think it's conditioned people into thinking that people don't make mistakes and that everything just is perfect and everyone's good at everything, and it's just not the case. So I've never obviously fitted worktops before. I've only got limited amount of tools and materials. I've tried my best, and I'll show you my little mistakes just so you know. So obviously the walls in this house, none of the walls in this house are even or flat or perfect, because obviously they're not. So that makes it a little bit difficult when things have to be straight. So if we look down there, there is obviously a giant gap along the bottom of there, which should really be flush. And obviously I could have measured along and then cut it and stuff, but I would have to use my saw, and my saw's just, it's so impossible to use. So instead, what I'm gonna do with these kind of gaps, and there's a bit of a gap here as well, I'm just gonna add some like wood fill or something like that, and I think that'll be okay. That's what they've invented fillers for, okay? To fill gaps with. I'm just making the most out of them in this series. Also, my saw, it does cut on a 45-degree angle for obviously like meter cuts and stuff, and getting like 45 nice smooth angles. The problem is though, the way the worktops need to be cut, mine only cuts like flat ways. It doesn't cut like the lengthways, so I can't get a 45-degree angle. So none of these are 45-degree angles, which I was a bit good about because that's what I wanted, and I'm capable of doing that, but I physically couldn't with the saw I've got. So like along here, this is a really shitty bit. Don't even want to show you it, but like, what's that? Ew. Why did I do that for? That's so gross. I just don't understand why I cut it like that for. It's very flush, and once I get filler on the top, it won't look too bad, but I'm gonna have to, I don't know, reassess this situation because I'm not in love with that. flat, I'm not gonna lie. And also I've been really lucky because if you look at my upstand, it is almost perfectly flat with where the windowsill is going to be. So I didn't need to arse on cutting around and doing different things and stuff, so I was overjoyed with that. That was just a happy accident. And anyway, for today, to finish these worktops off, I have some of this stuff. It's a superior Danish oil and it's in clear just to protect the worktops. So I'm gonna give these a nice good coat. Apparently with this stuff you want to brush it on or rub it on with a cloth or something. You want to leave it for 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure it really soaks into the wood, protects it, feeds the wood apparently. Apparently this stuff feeds it, and then you wipe the excess off with a cloth. And just like that, we have some lovely oiled worktops. I've wiped the excess off and everything. It's still quite oily, and it says to let dry for a minimum of 5 hours. So I'm hoping tomorrow, I don't know, it'll be a little bit less oily and it'll have just kind of settled itself down. But that wood was thirsty. Oh my god, it was desperate for that oil. I feel like I've really nurtured it. This is my child now. I hope you realise these worktops are my literal children. I don't want you to say anything bad about them, mind, otherwise I'll knock you.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
I'm going a bit delirious if you can't tell. But I've just heard back from the plumber and he's absolutely notorious for not messaging back and just being really difficult to get hold of. And he's coming tomorrow to install the sink and the tap. I can't wait for you to see my tap. Oh my god, the tap. Sex. It is sex on legs, the tap. I was just about to say I splashed out on the tap. I didn't really. It was a okay price tap, but it looks really expensive. Like, it looks millions of pounds. Oh my god, kitchen tap! Oh, what? Look how sexy it is. Oh my god, isn't it sexy? Oh, yes. Look what it does. Wait, it's too fancy. I can't figure out how to work it. So that goes on, and then if I twist that little bit and then turn it on, oh! Oh, squirty! Oh, I feel like a pot wash. Oh, I shouldn't get that wet, that self-leveling compound. I've put it in the sink to weigh it down. Hang on a second, I've just wet it. I'm gonna have to dry it out. I don't want that going off in the sink. Can you imagine? That would be an absolute disaster, wouldn't it? So yes, there is my gorgeous, glamorous tap and sink fitted. And also as well, I was kind of worried because I thought maybe the hole wasn't like correct or I've done something wrong because I usually do things wrong. But he's never said anything. He's fitted it fine. I do have a couple of holes in the wall now because he had to do something with the waste because the old waste was too high up and they've had to lower the new waste. And now also the washing machine waste goes into the same waste, so there's not two wastes. And also the old washing machine connections, they've gone because it was wired to a hot water thing which doesn't exist anymore, and that's a very old way to do it, and it just goes via the cold water. Lots of plumbing things, and people keep talking to me as if I have a single clue what they're on about, and I don't. I have zero. I have no idea what you're on about at all.
What is that?
So I'm just stood there like a lemon, like It's proper nice too because the sink I bought, it came with these. And I was just like, silver, absolutely not, no chrome, no thank you. So I instead bought a separate one, and I've got some black little plug things which I think look a lot neater and a lot tidier and stuff, and I had to buy them separate. And also that little thing there, the overflow, I bought that separate, and that's black, and it just looks a bit more cohesive. And then also I like the fact that the tap's a brass kind of colour, but then it's got the black cord, and that's really going to fit in to the rest of the kitchen because I've got a lot of kind of brass and gold and black going on. It's very luxe. This kitchen's going to feel very kind of luxe, but also, I forgot to tell you as well, I'm getting excited. Oh my god. I bought, which by the way, I'm running out of money. I'm massively running out of money. Things are costing me a fortune, but I've bought some cabinet paint, and this colour, I can't wait for you to see it. It's beautiful. It's so vibrant and colourful. I'm just happy. This has been a real hard few days. I don't know whether I mentioned this. When I was fitting the work counters, I dropped one onto my chest and they weigh a ton and it absolutely wrecked. And I'm not one for bruising or anything like that. I've got a giant bruise on my breast, on my little titty. It's basically like my nipple is the eye, because obviously nipples are the eye to the breast or the face or something. It's basically like my nipple's got a black eye. I need someone to rub my boob. Proper massive one, you know. Honestly, I've got a bruise about that size. It's huge. I'm falling apart in this place. I'm falling apart in this house. But anyway, I think I've gotten a lot done in however many days I've been recording. I can't remember anymore. In this chapter 5 are we on? So I think I will leave it there. Hopefully you are enjoying it so far. If you are, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I think in the next chapter, I want to focus more on decorative things. I'm hoping I can start painting. I'm going to try and get this floor self-leveled tonight before I leave. And then if I get that done, I can fit the floor in and then I can start. Oh, I need to wait for the skirtings as well. And then I can start painting. Regardless, next week, if I'm ready or not, I'm going to start putting colours on walls because I'm getting a bit pissed off. Also, I forgot to mention too, when I was at the DIY store, because I live at the DIY store at the minute, I was trying to get the wallpaper off yesterday because obviously I'm still removing wallpaper, and it was just becoming so tedious and so ridiculous, and my little scraper was being a piece of shit. I've bought this colossal, it cost me nearly £20, and it's like this beastie two-hander scraping wallpaper tool. Oh my god, it cuts through wallpaper like butter. I can't wait, which is saying something because I absolutely detest the job, but I can't wait tonight to take some more wallpaper off because I had a little sample and it was just so nice. Got me really turned on. If you're wondering how much I've spent so far on the house, and what I might do is I might do a video where I itemize everything and just tell everyone exactly how much everything's cost me. But if I show you this number, don't have a heart attack or anything. It makes me feel sick looking at this number, but this is how much I've spent so far. Dum dum dum. That's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of money.
Someone call an ambulance! Oh my god! Somebody help us!
Nearly 27 grand so far. 27. My budget was 25. I don't know where the other 2 grand came from. So I'm currently over budget and I'm still not done. And I might potentially need a loan as well. Either I need a loan or I need to like start selling my ass on the street. It's one of the two. I'll decide later which one I want to do.